happening, my debt-free millionaire zealots? Hey, this is Zach Edwards for another episode of the Debt-Free Millionaire podcast and personal finance course. That's right. Today we're talking about something that I love. This is my favorite part. This is, besides my family, besides my faith, this is like the favorite thing for me to do. For some reason, I really enjoy business. And so we're going to talk to you about business and all the great things that come with business, running a business. Also, some of the things that are not so good, but we're going to walk you through each part as we go. Okay, so first off, let's talk about what a business is. A business is something that has a product or service that you sell to someone else. So it could be selling okay, let me give you an example. When I was a kid, the first business that I actually owned was I would sell lizards and snakes to kids at school. I would sell it before school, and I had a great model for this business. I would sell it to the kids before school. Somehow during school they lose it, maybe in someone's backpack, maybe a teacher would take it away, and so they come back afterwards and buy again. And I had tons of snakes. I mean, I had a terrarium full of these ones called pintail snakes, and they were ones from California. I also had, gopher snakes. I had alligator lizards. I had, I can't remember all the names of all the lizards, like blue belly lizards. I'm not quite sure exactly what they were called. But I would sell them at the beginning of school and then again at the end of school, sometimes to the same kids. So this was a great model because I always had repeat buyers. And I'd go out and catch them. So there was no overhead for me. I'd go catch them. So it's basically my time was the only overhead. Well, as I grew older, I started other businesses. I once had a news site, which had no overhead as well, except for the cost of the website. And I would post every type of news, but I had it under categories. So if you want to know anything about the Supreme Court, here would be all the news from it. If you want to know what was happening in the Senate, here's all the information. All the House, here's all the information. If you want to know about people, anyways, they were all categorized. And I had tens of thousands of people every day coming to my site. And this is about the same time that I actually the end of it was about the same time that I was starting up Historical Conquest. And my wife, at the time, wisely told me to pick either Historical Conquest or American Parchment. And I said, you know what? That's fair. I totally understand. I've actually have a lot more vested in Historical Conquest, even though I spent like every waking hour doing American Parchment. It was really bad. I mean, I had interventions of how much time I was spending on this because I wanted to get the news out. And I couldn't find a partner to partner with me, and so I had to do that. So here comes Historical Conquest. I now had a board. I had now had partners. I had all these great things coming my way. And then other things came up, such as my divorce. And it totally took it for a tailspin. COVID happened with Historical Conquest, during Historical Conquest, and that took it for another tailspin. And I had to get actually a full-time job right afterwards, just trying to keep it up and running because people, with my product, people had to see it. They couldn't buy it off the internet very well because they didn't know what they were getting. And we weren't much into YouTube at the time. We started getting into YouTube, but still people needed to be able to hold on to the product and test it out. Now, if you were to run a plumbing company, all you basically had to do was write on the website, on the internet, plumber for hire. And so all of a sudden, people that needed a plumber, everyone knew what a plumber was. Everyone had plumbing issues in their house. They would call a plumber. The plumber would come over, fix up the house, and would be gone. So that's an easy service, though sometimes it's hard to get through. There's a lot of plumbers out there. So you have competition. So when I was selling snakes and lizards, no one else was my competition. It was free reign for me. And not many people were going to get into that because, one, they didn't have access to all the lizards and snakes and everything else. I was actually on a military base. And on this military base, we were at the very back end. So we were near all the open fields and the rocky areas. And so I had plenty of places to find snakes and lizards. And actually, I set up traps by putting like cardboard down or plywood down in certain spots. And then during the heat, they either come up on top and then they come on top of the rocks or the plywood. And then during the night, they'd go underneath or when it got cool. Well, when it got cold, I would open it up and they'd be cold, so they wouldn't move very fast. So it was easy to just pick up. I had one time when I came upon a rattler instead of a gopher snake, and that was, quite a experience. But because I was able to have this, I had no competition, I was able to sell as many snakes and lizards as I wanted to. Well, historical conquest, it's almost the same thing. The issue with the education industry is that until like last year, nobody wanted to fund educational products. They didn't make enough money. You're selling to schools at lower prices, all these different things. All of a sudden, AI came in and COVID happened. And all of a sudden, everyone was investing in those type of products, which is why we got away, we diversified, which means we created another product, and we created our video game portion of our company. So we have the physical game, which is Historical Conquest, and we have a Zogos game, which is our digital, which we're still working on. But now we're actually adding AI to it, which allows for personalization of the model. This is not a general AI. This is not someone that's going to take your information and be able to use it in other things. No, this is someone that machine learning, basically software that allows you to know where you're at. The computer knows where you're at and can personalize your experience based on that. And so, yeah, we're able to use AI for this because that's where the model has gone. And actually, that's something that's really needed is personalization in the education industry. So when you get into a product that has a lot of competition, much like a plumber, you have to do a lot more work when it comes to getting your name out. At the same time, when you say, I'm a plumber, everyone knows exactly what you do and who you are. When I say I create educational materials, especially educational games, a lot of people will say, that's nice, and then go off on their own. When we say that we are trying to make it epic, people have doubts because the past, most educational games have been for elementary school, have been very cutesy. We've spent over $100,000 on just imagery and making our games epic. And that's why they've been around for 10 years, is because we put the money forward to do this. Now we're still in debt from that money. We're still working our way through it. That's what I was talking about. I've gotten back into debt. And I have this debt hanging over my head at all times. So the stress level is still there. At some point, we will be able to pay off those debts and not have to worry about that. And any money that we're paying towards the debts, we can actually pay in salaries and hire more people. So that's why we're doing things that we do things. But for you, if you're to start up a business, you need to figure out what you like doing. Now, you don't actually want to make your hobbies a business per se. And the reason is because when you start getting upset with your business, you don't want to blame your hobby on it and then all of a sudden lose that hobby. You'll stop doing it because of all the stress that it's causing you. But if you can actually find a way of making it something that is close to your hobby, not your hobby, but something that's close, or something that finding a niche of people that really want your service or product, you want to know that. That's the second part. So you want to know what you want to do, but you also want to know what other people want to buy from you. And this has to do with a lot of surveys. You go out and you talk to people. Would you buy this? How much would you buy it for? Would you play it one time and then put it away if it was a game? Would you use it one time and then put it away? How would I be able to keep you going and buying more? So let me tell you about yesterday. Yesterday, again, we were at a convention in Fairbanks, Alaska. So I go to my table and the people start coming in. Probably 80% of the people that came in and purchased product were repeat buyers from the previous year. So with Fairbanks, again, I told you, the homeschoolers here have an allotment of money. So I have almost oversaturated this market. Nearly everyone that came to my table said, oh yeah, we bought that last year. Oh yeah, we bought that 3 years ago. Oh yeah, we bought that 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So I'm like, okay, maybe I should hold off from this market for a little bit longer. But then everyone else came up, everyone that was interested in buying, they'd be coming up and say, hey, what's new this year? And I'd say, well, I've got 3 new decks. Great, let's buy those. Anything else? No. But if there was, would you buy? Yeah, I'd be buying everything. I'm like, so that's where I got things wrong. I was being hesitant on bringing anything else new because you have to pay for everything else that you bring out new. Now I'm finding out that maybe it would have been smart if I actually had spent money on new things each year. And the way that we're doing this is we changed around our model. So we have, 7 starter decks, 8 play mats, and 9 expansions. We're going to keep those numbers, or similar to those numbers. We're going to keep basically 6 starter decks and 1 that rotates. we'll have, let's see, as many playmats as we want, but we'll only print about 8 at a time. And then we'll also have 9 expansion packs. And the reason why we're going to do that is because most people, they want to buy more expansion packs because there's always something new. Playmats, they only need 1. If they have 2 players, they need 2. After that, they've got everything that they need with the playmats. But if we cycle them through, they're going to, hey, I like that one. And we didn't pay any more because we were just restocking the 8th, not the certain playmat. We're restocking the 8th playmat. So that 8th playmat is going to be a new image every time. So, and it just costs us for the image to create. Let's see, other things that we are doing. Oh, in the starter deck, basically just like the expansion pack, people just want 6 starter decks. Now, some of them, because I have really avid fans of the game, they'll say, no, I want this starter pack. I want this one starter pack. It's like, sorry, it's out of stock right now, but it'll be in stock the next 6 months or so. The next time that one of the starter decks goes up, and we'll bring that one back. This allows us to lower our overhead and also continue to bring on new products for more people. Another model that we are looking into is, now I'm going to caveat this, I'm going to go back a little bit. One of the people that I talked to that was there was called Unboxing History. They have these box sets per month that cost like $57 for a box set of information. Now they send these boxes out every month or every few months, depending on how you want them. And I say, I can do that same thing, and I can do it for less price and give them more opportunities there. But I won't do that, at least for now, because this company wants to team up with us. And if that teaming up, that partnership, seems like it's going to be lucrative for us, yeah, we're going to go that way because it's the easiest thing to do. Instead of changing our model again, we have to just partner with someone else that's already doing that model. Great. No problem here. I would love to be able to provide this company with 1,000 decks of this one expansion pack. And they're the only ones that produce it. They're the ones that provide it in their system. That's fine with me, as long as they pay for us. And then we have a deal where we can actually bring that back, say in 2 years. But they get it for the first 2 years. I am fine with that, totally. Because I can create products and they can buy it at the price that I would sell 1,000 decks to maybe a retailer. And they can make money off their decks and get people to play the game. Then we have more people that will learn about historical conquest, and more people will want to buy the other sets, the other playmats, and so forth. So this is a great way of possibly teaming up. But if they don't do it, I have the option that I actually might start doing a curriculum and putting that out there. Now, we'll see what happens in the future, but that's something that's happening with historical conquest. It's a great model to get into. The monthly subscriptions are amazing when it comes to getting people to be excited about not just the game, but also giving them the information that they need and making some extra money because we're creating a curriculum to the homeschooling families. And it's not that hard to make curriculum now. We have a good writer, we have a few good writers, and so we just need to put them together. So going back to the original reason talking about this, is starting a business. So starting a business is very freeing as a person. If you own your own business, you have a lot more freedom in your time, in your flexibility, even more satisfaction in what you're doing because it's yours. There's also more opportunities. Like I have this partnership I can make with this person. I had no clue who they were until this last convention. And so we are actually getting to the point where okay, this is going great. Where do we go next? What do we need to do? Well, what you need to know also in business is that there's also a lot of stress because you're worrying about your business. There's a lot of working hours. You may have flexibility in your hours, but whatever you don't do, you'll have to do it later on. And there's a lot of extra paperwork, risk, and so forth. There's so much to it. So you're going to be spending a lot of time doing this. But here's the thing. When you can start making more money than you spend, that's what you call a profit. And that's actually what this chapter is about. It's the business profits financial talk. So this is actually week 6, day 2. So let's talk about the profits. The profits, again, is you spend a certain amount, you make a certain amount. When you make more than you're spending, you're making a profit. And now when you are talking about how much you spend, it's just like your monthly expenditures, both variable expenses and fixed expenses. Remember when we were talking about that? Fixed expenses are things you pay every month. If you own a business, if you own a building, if you rent a building, those are monthly expenses that are exact same every month. Your utilities, they go up and down depending on how much you use. During the summer, it's going to be one price. During the winter, it's going to be another price. But you still have to pay it every single month. Now, there's other things such as, sorry, my voice is a little bit going out, especially because of the convention. But there's something called, or there's things called, such like human resources. This is your team. Now, in my company, we believe in what we call the 80-20 rule. 20% of what you do will make 80% of the profits for your company. Let me say it again. 20% of what I do as a individual in my business makes 80% of the money, the revenue in my company. The other 80% makes only 20% of the money in my company. So if I can figure out what that 20% is that I do really well and makes the most money, I can give that other 80% to other team members, especially those that are specialized in those fields. So say social media. I do a ton of social media every day. I produce social media. I give it, we get it out on social media. I create a lot of content and we put it out on social media. Now I do most of that right now. So the more that I do, the less time I can spend on partnerships or finding more business for the company. That's where I make the money. Social media is just to get my name out or to get our name out. So if I can put someone else in charge of that social media section, great. Then I can actually focus on the things I do. What about paperwork? I spend so much time on paperwork, especially when taxes come around. If I can pass that out to an accountant, then that's one less thing I have to worry about. And I can worry about just on the partners and making the money. Conventions. If I stop having to go to conventions and I go to one or two, maybe I do a workshop and such, and 20% of the business partnerships, walking around the conventions, meeting with the other exhibitors, that's what I want to do. While my team member is the one running the booth. Then I only have to be there for one day. One day, even though it's like a 3-day convention. And so I don't have to spend the money on hotels. I can spend it on an air flight, going there and back, or driving out there and going back. So I get to decide where I'm going to spend my time and my money. Again, as a business owner. So I want to be able to do the 20% that really makes my company money and give everyone else, this is human resources, this is my staff and my team, give that to someone else, especially when it comes to managing HR. Now, right now, there are companies out there like Gusto. Gusto.com is a great way of doing payroll. I don't have to do payroll except for it takes me about 5 minutes to plug in. This person gets this amount, this person gets this amount, this person gets this amount, this person was on vacation, so they get this amount. Done deal, send it out. Now, most of those, how much they get is actually in the process, in the website. So all I have to do is, yep, they were there for 40 hours a week. Yep, they were there for that 40 hours a week. Yep, they were there. No, they were on vacation, and they get vacation pay. That's how you actually do it. So the next part, just like human resources and HR, is the accounting side. So the accounting side of the business. This could be paying taxes. This could be accounts receivable, all these different things. Now that actually works somewhat in with HR, and there are programs to do it, but ultimately I'm still doing it. If I'm running Gusto or I'm running QuickBooks, these are two companies that I'm running, and I don't want to have to run those parts of the company because that doesn't make my 20%. So I will pass that off to somebody else, whether it's an executive secretary, whether it's an accountant and a HR manager, try to pass that off to someone else. What about when it comes to paying off? Now, again, those are team members. The next one, and accounting also talks about, again, the accounts receivable, the money that we're waiting for from other vendors, or money going out. So those expenditures. The money going out is something that lowers our profit. The amount of people that we have on our staff lowers our profit because it's more of an expense. Again, if you make more than you spent, HR, accounting, rent, other expenses, then you're making a profit. That difference right here is profit. So going forward, what's something that you always have to pay? Again, your rent and utilities. These are the things that are where that expenses starts to increase up to your revenue. Again, the more expenses you have, the less profit you have. Okay, the next one is marketing. Now, there's two different ways of thinking of marketing. There's marketing and there's advertising. They are actually two different parts. So if I spend ad money on Google Ads, that's advertising. You're looking for people to buy from you. Social media is more of marketing. You want to get your name out. You want people to recognize you. The truth is, if you're just throwing money out there to get more likes or more followers on social media, but it does not transition into money, you may want to think of dropping that. Social media has been touted as the greatest moneymaker for a company, but it's not always true. Social media is the one that gets you the most followers, but does not mean they're going to actually be buyers. You might be putting out stuff that your social media followers like when it comes to content, but your merchandise, they don't want that. So if I have a kids game and all of a sudden I have all these young adults that are looking at my stuff, liking my stuff, the young adults are not going to be buying the stuff that are for education and middle school and high school age materials. So I just hurt myself by marketing after these people. I want to market after the grandparents. I want to market after the parents of kids. So if you can hone your marketing so that those people understand who you are, then you advertise to them and they will buy off those advertisements. The marketing is just to get your name out. It's to get them to understand who you are, what you do. The advertising they'll find afterwards, that is to bring them in and to buy from you. So sales has a lot of money that you're going to be spending, because you're going to spend for marketing, you're going to spend for advertising, because you're going to try to find out who is your likely buyer and how to get them to buy. So, and actually you'll find out more about this. We actually have a book coming out on the free market and also free marketing, and also starting a business. But these will be coming out after our personal finance book and after our real estate flipping book, just because those are already ready. And we'll be going through real estate fairly soon, so stay tuned for that. I think we're about halfway through the personal finance course. The next thing to know is research and development. Again, like I was saying, if I just stuck with the one set of products that I have, and I oversaturate a market where everyone has my stuff, they have no need to buy more because I'd have nothing new. Why would they buy duplicates of what they already had? So you actually want to continue to research new things and develop new things so that those repeat buyers, those fans of yours, come back and buy more from you. So this actually goes back to the product. You also need to, like I was saying, remember our model. We have 7 different starter decks. We have 9 different expansions, and we have 8 playmats. Now my products, the more I buy, the more I have in inventory if it's not going out in sales. So you have to watch how much you buy so you're not overstocked on one thing, because we're recycling them through. This allows us to keep our inventory somewhat low and to sell new things. And by doing that, our products continue to get sold, and we are limiting our expenses, not eliminating, limiting our expenses. What about services that you might need? Okay, services. If you own a business, you're gonna need someone to come in and fix something. If I have artists, or illustrators, those are services that I have to pay for because they're all contractors. People that go out and sell for us at conventions where we don't actually have an employee go out there, those are services. We have to pay those contractors to be able to provide for them. And the last one that I want to talk about is, we've talked about the expenses. Let's talk about the income. So your revenue starts from down here. So they both start at basics. Here's your expenses. Here's your revenue. You always want your revenue, the amount of money coming in, to be higher than your expenses. This is your income right here. Now, remember when we were talking about personal life? We wanted you to have multiple streams of income. The same thing goes with a business. So with a business, I have convention money, I have Amazon money, I have Walmart money. These are money that's coming in from these different sources. I have tournaments across the United States and the ambassadors that host them. I have, let's see, in the future, we'll hopefully have partnerships. And we're going to try to find as many streams of income. And then we don't just have these small little trickling streams. Then we have to make them bigger. We have to open them up so more water is running down, more income is coming into the business. So we have to find our streams of income and then strengthen every single one of them. This allows us to, sorry, there's a glitch in my computer. This allows us to bring in more income, more revenue, to hopefully go higher than our expenses, which makes more profit. That little gap right there, right here, that's the profit. So thank you so much for listening to us on this Debt-Free Millionaire podcast. I don't know what's happening with my system, but it might have just gone down while we were recording this. Hopefully not. So, but stay tuned for tomorrow. Let me get you a little bit of a heads up. Tomorrow is going to be funny. We're going to be talking about, oh yeah, this one's going to be fun. Total debts. So you're like, total debts? I'm going to let you ruminate on that. But this is actually where I talk about how debt, whether it's in business or whether it's in personal life, becomes your master and you become the slave to your debt. This is really important because we want you to be free. And the only way you're going to be free is if you're free of all this debt, or at least are able to have it completely manageable where you don't have responsibility for it, which is like the idea of like Robert Kiyosaki, where he wants to have good debt, but where he's not liable for it. His business is liable for it. He's not liable for it. On the other hand, you can take the Dave Ramsey way, which is I don't want to have any debt, and then I'm going to start my business, and I can put all my money towards great things. Now, in some ways, Dave Ramsey's right. It's so much less stress if you can get rid of your debt. But also, Robert Kiyosaki's right, because if you're doing something like a tech company, like which we're doing, it's really hard to do things with just the revenue that you have, just the income that you have, just the savings that you have, because it takes a lot of money to produce this. But there's ways of not getting into debt. And I'll go over this later on. But it's where you can bring in partners. Instead of them giving you loans, they own part of the company. It allows you to make stuff so you don't have a lot of debt. But you don't want to just take like $20,000 and they get half your company. No. They get like 5% of the company. They get 1% of the company. That's small beans. Especially if you're a tech company, you want someone that's going to donate $1 million to your company. And if they're going to do that, you know you're going to make your money back. You're not going to have that debt hanging over you. But you do have a new partner, which then causes a lot of other stress. But you want to have partners in your businesses, because doing a business by yourself, not the way to go. It is very stressful and all the weight is on you, and I've experienced that. Take me as an example. I don't want to go that way anymore. I want to find partners. I want to bring more people in, because I'd be doing everything if it wasn't for my staff. So, and I do a lot because I need more staff. And that's what we're working on. So thanks again for joining me on this Debt-Free Millionaire podcast and personal finance course. And I will catch you tomorrow where we talk about debt. More debt. Let's get you out of it. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon. Bye.